Hello, friends. Let's begin. Sophia glanced around the office. The entire space was decked out for the holidays. Pine wreaths adorned with red ribbons, golden balloons, and a miniature Christmas tree stood in the corner surrounded by neatly wrapped presents for a charity event. Her colleagues bustled about, chatting about gifts, plans, and their New Year celebrations. The air was filled with laughter, cheerful voices, and the clinking of cocoa mugs. But Sophia felt like an outsider, as though someone had hit the pause button on her personal life. For weeks now, she'd felt exhaustion creeping in. "Sophia, are you with us?" Lily's voice broke through her thoughts. Her friend stood beside her, leaning on the table, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's Thursday, almost New Year's Eve. Let's have a little pre-holiday celebration," Lily said enthusiastically. "I don't know," Sophia started hesitantly, but Lily waved her off with a dramatic flourish. "Oh, come on. The bar down the street is already decked out. There are garlands, festive cocktails with names like Holiday Bliss, and music to match. Just one drink. What do you say?" Lily gave her a pleading look. "You deserve to relax a little." Sophia smiled faintly but hesitated. She'd promised her husband, David, that she wouldn't go out to late-night gatherings after their last disagreement. He'd wanted them to spend the holidays together at home, away from loud crowds and late-night dancing. Yet, Lily always had a way of stirring that restless part of Sophia, the part that longed to break free from her routine. "Okay, but only one drink," Sophia said, pretending to sound firm. "And only because you're so persistent." "That's my girl," Lily beamed, clapping her on the shoulder. "Give me 2 minutes to grab my jacket." As Lily disappeared around the corner, Sophia's gaze wandered to the Christmas tree. She thought of David, who was probably at home right now wrapping gifts for their nieces or watching another Christmas movie. He always preferred quiet evenings, while she often craved the vibrancy of life, moments when music and laughter filled the air. Soon, Lily returned, bundled up in a bright red coat and white scarf, radiating holiday cheer. "Ready, Sophia? Let's go make some holiday memories." Sophia pushed aside her doubts and followed Lily out. The bar welcomed them with warmth and festive music. Strings of twinkling lights crisscrossed the ceiling, and garlands shimmered on every wall. Behind the counter, a tall bartender in a Santa hat skillfully mixed cocktails. Lily snagged a cozy table by the window and ordered 2 drinks. "See? Isn't this better than staying home?" she teased, handing Sophia a glass garnished with rosemary and a slice of orange. "To the new year," Sophia said with a laugh, raising her glass. As the evening unfolded, Sophia felt the weight on her shoulders lift. She laughed, shared stories, and even chatted with strangers. For the first time in ages, she felt alive. At one point, her gaze met that of a man across the room. Dressed in a black shirt and dark jeans, his confident demeanor caught her attention. When their eyes met, he lifted his glass in a silent greeting. Curious, Sophia made her way to the bar. "You're lighting up the room tonight," he said with an easy smile. "Am I? With all these lights and decorations, I hardly stand out," she replied, laughing lightly. The man chuckled. "Well, you've got my attention." The atmosphere buzzed with energy, and Sophia felt more like herself than she had in months. They exchanged introductions. His name was Jason, and she found herself drawn to his warm, engaging personality. At one point, Jason ordered her another cocktail without asking. "You didn't have to do that," she said, accepting the drink with a small smile. "Consider it a holiday gesture," he replied. For a moment, she hesitated, thinking of David and their promise to spend quiet holidays together. But the music, the lights, and the lively crowd made it hard to resist a moment. As the night went on, Sophia realized she wasn't just celebrating the new year. She was rediscovering herself, an unexpected Christmas revelation. Amelia laughed softly at Jason's witty remarks, his words drawing her in as though the noisy bar had vanished around them. He leaned closer, the space between them shrinking. His hand brushed hers casually as he slid her glass closer, and she didn't pull away. Across the room, Lily smirked at the sight. "All the guys here missed their chance while you're busy stealing the show," Lily teased. Amelia laughed, feeling a pleasant warmth from the attention. It boosted her mood in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. She returned to the table with Jason, who continued to charm her with bold jokes and an increasingly intense gaze. "So, how often do you have nights like this?" Jason asked, leaning in as Lily became absorbed in her phone. "Not as often as you'd think," Amelia replied playfully. "Then I'm glad to be part of the exception." Under the table, his hand grazed her knee, moving lightly under her skirt. Amelia glanced up at him, but didn't push him away. She smiled instead, letting the flirtation linger. Their conversation grew more daring, the atmosphere charged with unspoken intentions. When the clock struck midnight, the bar erupted in cheers. Jason leaned in close, his breath brushing her neck. "Happy New Year, Amelia," he whispered. She smiled faintly, murmuring a soft reply. But as the night wore on, she felt the tug of reality. It was time to go home. Pulling on her coat, she bid Jason goodbye. "See you again?" he asked, his tone teasing. "We'll see," she said with a sly smile before stepping out into the crisp night. It was well past midnight when Amelia arrived home. The house was quiet, the warm glow of garlands flickering in the window. She dropped her bag on the couch and headed to the kitchen, but her eyes fell on the dining table. 3 items waited for her: a neatly stacked pile of papers, a small black velvet box, and a white envelope with her name written on it. Amelia froze. The warmth of the evening evaporated, replaced by a chill that crept into her chest. Her gaze lingered on the envelope, her name etched in familiar handwriting. Slowly, she reached for the letter but stopped. Instead, she turned on the coffee machine, its hum breaking the silence. The festive spirit now seemed out of place. Where a holiday dinner and laughter should have been, there were papers and quiet reproach. Wrapping her hands around the warm mug, Amelia sat down and reluctantly opened the envelope. The letter inside was penned in Daniel's precise handwriting. "Amelia, I've been trying to understand where things went wrong. I've justified your behavior, ignored the signs, and clung to hope. But I can't continue this way. You promised to change, to respect our marriage, but your words have remained just that, words. Tonight, while you enjoyed the bar, I waited at home, believing Christmas might be a fresh start for us. Instead, I received confirmation that the noise, the flirting, and the escapism mean more to you than our vows. I kept the ring because it symbolized our promises. Now, it's just a reminder of broken ones that if you care at all about our marriage, come to the Courtyard Suites, room 217, tomorrow at 6 p.m. This is your chance to be honest. No excuses, no blame. If you don't come, I'll understand. It will mean you've made your choice. Still your husband, Daniel." Amelia finished reading, her heart pounding. She set the letter down and leaned back, the image of Daniel, quiet, steady, and full of expectations, flashing in her mind. She picked up the ring from the velvet box, turning it over in her fingers. A sarcastic smile tugged at her lips. "What's he going to do?" she thought. "Sit in some hotel room, waiting for me to apologize and promise to be the perfect wife." The echoes of the evening, the cocktails, the laughter, Jason's lingering gaze, made her feel bold. "He's being dramatic," she muttered, pushing the ring back into its case and setting the letter aside. Her phone buzzed. A message from Lily. "Hope you made it home okay." Amelia typed a quick reply. "I'm fine. Let's plan something fun for tomorrow." She turned on her speakers, letting Christmas music fill the house again. She sipped her coffee, pushing the letter and the ring from her mind. After all, it was Christmas. Who dwells on such things during the holidays? The next day, Amelia slept in, savoring the rare luxury of a lazy morning. Sunlight streamed through the window as she watched holiday movies and laughed at Lily's jokes over the phone. The letter on the table went untouched. At 5 p.m., Amelia left for the Christmas market, where Lily had arranged to meet. By 6 o'clock, she was surrounded by the smell of mulled wine and the cheerful sounds of carols. Lily told another funny story, and Amelia laughed, savoring the festive chaos around her. At that same moment, in room 217 of the Courtyard Suites, Daniel sat alone, waiting. Emily sipped her hot chocolate, the noisy music of the bar drowning out her thoughts. She stood at the counter, laughing at yet another joke from an acquaintance who barely knew her name but seemed eager to impress. The twinkling garlands, the clinking glasses, and the scent of mulled wine created an atmosphere that was impossible to resist. For the past few nights, she had drowned herself in the festivities, escaping the weight of Daniel's ultimatum. His letter and the missed meeting felt distant now, reduced in her mind to a petty attempt at control. She convinced herself it didn't matter. Her life was her own, free from anyone's expectations. "You're stealing the show again," teased a man as he handed her another cocktail. "Well, who else?" she replied with a playful smile, raising her glass. "It's the holidays." Laughter and adrenaline surged through her, intoxicating in their own right. But beneath the surface, a gnawing unease lingered. In the quiet moments, thoughts of home crept in, empty, cold, and now devoid of Daniel's steady presence. The morning after, a shrill phone ring jolted Emily awake. Her head throbbed from the night's indulgence as she fumbled for the phone. "Hello," she croaked. "Emily Triner?" The voice on the line was formal and stern. "Yes, that's me. This is the bank. We're calling to inform you that your joint accounts have been temporarily frozen due to the initiation of divorce proceedings." "What? Divorce?" Emily's voice cracked. "Your husband has filed the necessary paperwork. The accounts are under legal control. Please contact your attorney for further details." The call ended abruptly, leaving Emily staring at her phone, her heart racing. Divorce? Frozen accounts? Anger and disbelief warred within her. Was Daniel really doing this? The next day at work, Emily sensed something was off. Colleagues avoided her gaze, and whispers followed her through the halls. Soon, she was summoned to her boss's office. On the desk sat a folder filled with printed emails and photos. "Emily, we need to discuss your reputation," her boss began, his tone steady but uncomfortable. "What is this?" she asked, already dreading the answer. "We received an anonymous report along with evidence of inappropriate behavior. These photos and messages undermine the trust our clients place in us and tarnish the company's reputation." Emily's breath hitched as she saw the images, herself at clubs, cocktails in hand, with men like Ryan and Brad. Some were innocuous, others less so. She opened her mouth to protest, but was silenced by her boss's raised hand. "We suggest you tender your resignation. It's the most graceful way forward for all parties involved." Shaken and humiliated, Emily signed the papers. At home that evening, she found another envelope waiting for her. This one bore the letterhead of Daniel's attorney. It contained a formal notice of divorce, along with a list of demands, property division, financial restrictions, and legal filings. Her hands trembled as she read. He planned this, she thought bitterly. Every move, every piece of evidence. He's been building his case all along. Emily tried to maintain her old lifestyle, meeting Megan and throwing herself into the nightlife. But the world around her seemed to shift. Men who once admired her now kept their distance. Friends listened to her stories with polite detachment, but exchanged puzzled glances when she wasn't looking. For the first time, Emily felt truly alone. The day of the trial arrived with the same lifeless gray as her thoughts. Dressing for court, she settled on a black suit and white blouse. Carla Wilson, her lawyer, had warned against anything too flashy. Inside the cold, sterile courthouse, Emily met Carla, whose sharp, no-nonsense demeanor offered little comfort. "Ready?" Carla asked, her gaze assessing Emily critically. "Do I have a choice?" Emily replied, forcing a weak smile. The trial began promptly at 10 a.m. Across the room, Daniel sat with his attorney, John Harris, a man whose confidence was as unnerving as it was calculated. As the proceedings opened, Harris wasted no time presenting his case. "Your Honor," he began, "we aim to show Mrs. Trina's pattern of behavior that undermined this marriage. We will demonstrate infidelity, financial irresponsibility, and a disregard for her familial obligations." Emily's stomach dropped. Carla's hand briefly squeezed hers. A silent reminder to stay calm, Harris presented photographs first. On the courtroom screen appeared images of Emily at clubs, drinks in hand, laughing with Ryan. Then, an image of her standing outside a hotel room with Brad. "These photos," Harris continued, "demonstrate actions inconsistent with the values of a committed marriage." Next came the messages, flirtatious exchanges with Brad, plans for late-night meetings. Seeing her private life laid bare before strangers felt like a dagger to her chest. She wanted to object, to defend herself, but Carla's whispered warning stilled her. "Not yet." Harris's voice droned on, each word driving the shame and anger deeper. Emily's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Emily sat silently as the weight of her choices came crashing down. Daniel's impenetrable gaze stayed fixed ahead, betraying no emotion. She glanced at Carla, who was already preparing to mount her defense for the first time. Emily realized how much she had underestimated Daniel. His resolve, his intelligence, his willingness to fight for what he believed was right. For the past few nights, she had drowned herself in the festivities, escaping the weight of Daniel's ultimatum. His letter and the missed meeting felt distant now, reduced in her mind to a petty attempt at control. She convinced herself it didn't matter. Her life was her own, free from anyone's expectations. "You're stealing the show again," teased a man as he handed her another cocktail. "Well, who else?" she replied with a playful smile, raising her glass. "It's the holidays." Laughter and adrenaline surged through her, intoxicating in their own right. But beneath the surface, a gnawing unease lingered. In the quiet moments, thoughts of home crept in, empty, cold, and now devoid of Daniel's steady presence. The morning after, a shrill phone ring jolted Emily awake. Her head throbbed from the night's indulgence as she fumbled for the phone. "Hello," she croaked. "Emily Trina?" The voice on the line was formal and stern. "Yes, that's me. This is the bank. We're calling to inform you that your joint accounts have been temporarily frozen due to the initiation of divorce proceedings." "What? Divorce?" Emily's voice cracked. "Your husband has filed the necessary paperwork. The accounts are under legal control. Please contact your attorney for further details." The call ended abruptly, leaving Emily staring at her phone, her heart racing. Divorce? Frozen accounts? Anger and disbelief warred within her. Was Daniel really doing this? The next day at work, Emily sensed something was off. Colleagues avoided her gaze, and whispers followed her through the halls. Soon, she was summoned to her boss's office. On the desk sat a folder filled with printed emails and photos. "Emily, we need to discuss your reputation," her boss began, his tone steady but uncomfortable. "What is this?" she asked, already dreading the answer. "We received an anonymous report, along with evidence of inappropriate behavior. These photos and messages undermine the trust our clients place in us and tarnish the company's reputation." Emily's breath hitched as she saw the images. Herself at clubs, cocktails in hand, laughing with Ryan. Then, an image of her standing outside a hotel room with Brad. "These photos," Harris continued, "demonstrate actions inconsistent with the values of a committed marriage." Next came the messages, flirtatious exchanges with Brad, plans for late-night meetings. Seeing her private life laid bare before strangers felt like a dagger to her chest. She wanted to object, to defend herself, but Carla's whispered warning stilled her. "Not yet." Harris's voice droned on, each word driving the shame and anger deeper. Emily's carefully constructed facade began to crumble.